Well, hello, it's Friday night. Happy Friday night. It's good to see you guys. How are you doing? So I put on my subject title tonight that it was Dr. Barry's, what was it? Statin Deception. It's his YouTube video. All right, you guys know this all comes from conversations that I'm having with people. It's like this stream of chatter that we have amongst each other to talk about things that we just know things aren't quite right. So, talking to somebody today about how she had to fight to not take a Statin. And so I have it in my I have it in my subject titles in certain places, but I just have to know I got to be careful on especially TikTok. So anyway, so this was the conversation. So she said that she just was having so many side effects when they put her on the Statin. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt. Let me do that. Tell me if you're on the replay. I would love to know. Tell me where you're coming in from. I would love to know. My name is Kirsten Liebelt, and my dad died of type 2 diabetes when he was 63. I was only 30 at the time. I personally spent 20 years doing absolutely nothing about my own insulin resistance because I didn't know that it was even a thing. I mean, I didn't even know it was terminology. I didn't know any of that. But I was gestational diabetic with my first baby, poking my fingers 4 times a day. I had all of this, well, they weren't permanent scars, but they really hurt bad. And then I was hypoglycemic with my second baby. So in my 40s, that's when I started to turn everything around. And it's been like this really crazy journey. It's a good journey. I'm 59 now. I'm not on any medications, and I teach women how to actually turn back their insulin resistance so that they can lose weight. I've gone from a 2X down to a large, and I just like to share how I did that. However, so I was talking to somebody today about an Statin, and she was just saying that the side effects were so dumb and so bad for her, and she hated it. And we were talking about that, and she would go back to the doctor and she'd be like, I can't do this. And they're like, okay. Let's just lower your dose. And she's like, I can't do this. Like it's my brain. Like I can't, my brain. And then they were like, okay, how about just 3 days a week? You can still get really good benefits with just 3. How about 1 day a week? How about, she's like, oh my gosh. And she went from endocrinologist to endocrinologist trying to get conversation going that would benefit this. In the end, she was like, this is insane. At the very, very end, she said, okay, fine. I'll take the smallest, tiniest little dose. Let me know if you guys are on one. I would love to know, has anybody else had issues with Statin before? And if so, I'd love to know what the side effect was. Anyway, and she says, she goes, okay, fine. I'll do it again. I'll try it one more time. Tiniest little dose possible. And she said immediately her memory just went poof, like she goes, no, I'm not waiting 3 strikes. You're out right now. I'm not doing this. So then she, of course, and I don't know if I have it chronologically perfect or whatever, but at some point she researches all of the side effects and everything and makes her own decision. Yeah, that's never going to happen again. I should have put my water in a very nice, pretty blue glass instead of a bright yellow thermos. Okay. So I love following people like Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Eric Berg and Maria Emmerich, etc., because I come from the universe of, listen, when my dad died, he had lazy Susan full of medication. Like, what up? Why did that not help him? This is my naivety. I was so super naive at the time, 30 years old. Well, what do you mean? Like, wasn't that supposed to heal him? Wasn't that supposed to turn something around? Wasn't that supposed to do something for him? Like, I don't understand. No, not even close. That's not even what they're designed to do. They're designed to potentially manage. It didn't, right? Okay. So I then spent all of these years kind of researching why, this all happened with my dad so that I could make better decisions for myself. I come to the conclusion that pretty much everything we've been told is wrong or misinformation at best. And I shouldn't say everything, but pretty dang close. So now when I talk about, like the food pyramid, et cetera, okay, you got that. So what I thought I would do tonight is just look up a few little things so that I'm just going to give information. You guys can do with it what you will. I am not a doctor. I am an Italian girl. My dad was 100% Italian. I'm an Italian girl who figured things out. And it's been my own journey for a long time now. And I get the pleasure and the privilege of helping women turn back around, because I'm the only one in my family that avoided type 2. He took the path of meds. I took the path of supplements. The rest is history. 59, no meds, no type 2 in sight. Never will, because I know exactly how this works. So if you just look up Google, this is just Google. So this is not unusual like information, right? This is not like back alley information. If you just look up Google, and then I'll get to Dr. Ken Berry's side effects of Statins, and I have to say that for the ticky talk. Muscle pain, headache, diarrhea, nausea, bloating, hepatotoxicity. That's interesting. Abdominal pain, dizziness. Okay, I'm going to leave this one for the last because this is my wheelhouse. Fatigue, arthralgia. I don't know what that is. Does anybody know what arthralgia is? I've never heard of that. You decided to not listen and you found Dr. Berry and you healed. That's a great story in one sentence. Way to go, Gray. Way to go. Dang. Yes. Problem sleeping, rash, weakness, heartburn, painful or difficult urination, and unusual tired or weakness. Okay. That's just basic, right? That's just looking up, Googling. What are the side effects of Statins? So what I did was I looked up a YouTube video of Dr. Ken Berry's, and I kind of put it in the title. It's called Statin Deception, Truth About Cholesterol Medicines. Okay. So that's something you can look up for yourself. I'm just the messenger here of information that I deem to be very, very informative and very helpful. It has helped me. Like, you know, when you just know stuff inside of you, but you don't really understand maybe like you don't know all of the details, but you know something inside of you is true and you're trying to like figure it out. He was kind of some of my pieces of understanding, because not only did I have my dad die of type 2 diabetes and he did everything, you know, the heart disease, the kidney dialysis, double insulin shots in his belly, did all of it. But then I also had my mother with dementia. So that plays into this too. So let's get into this. The last side effect that was on here that was from Google as a side effect of one of those things, one of those meds, type 2 diabetes. Now I need everybody to pause for just a second in your mind and say to yourself, if type 2 diabetes is a side effect of one of those meds, and I'm already, then why am I being put on it? Okay, so that's just a thought process that I have for myself in the moment. Things like this really bug me, you guys. I get super passionate. I'm so tired of bad information. I'm so tired about it. Okay. So he was talking about this in his YouTube video, and he gave 6 negative effects from Statins. Number one is lower testosterone. So I don't know if people know this, and I've learned this from Maria Emmerich, that ED can be a side effect of statins. And also too, lower testosterone is not super happy with women, right? We don't want our testosterone lowered. We don't want any of our hormones to be messed with, period. Like, this is an issue for us, right? So lower testosterone. Raised blood sugars, which I just touched on with just the Googles. Raising blood sugars. This is just it's not the trifecta. That would be the wrong word. The triune answer is usually you get put on high blood pressure med at the same time that you get put on MET. If you know what that one is, MET for sugars, at the same time that you get put on a statin. Now, do these sound like they're actually working together? Just saying. It lowers your CoQ10. That is such a big deal. So if you are on one, you need to be supplementing your CoQ10. Absolutely need to do that. If you need a really good example of one, you can DM me and I will tell you, I'll give you one. But you've got to be replacing your CoQ10. Very, very important. Number 4 is increasing muscle pain. So a lot of people do talk about that. They say that they just had so many cramps or so many like leg muscle issues, like sleeping. It kept them awake at night and it was really, really hard. And this one is tough. Liver damage. That's a tough one. Because, well, for many reasons, right? But I mean, most specifically because we already have such like a fatty liver problem in our country. And that is already whatever. 50 years ago, the only people that had fatty liver were alcoholics. And now it's really, really high in our country and then our children. So that's an issue too. And then the last one is memory issues. And that one bothers me probably that's probably number 2 next to the sugars and the type 2. And the reason why is because, my mom's mom, and I talk about this a lot, she was playing Scrabble till she was 97. And then she passed away in, I think it was 1998, something like that. And so we never saw this coming with my mom. And so there were 2 things that I feel like happened with my mom. And, one of them is potentially a statin. She had said no to a lot of different things in her world. But we're going to go back and look at her list, even though we were kind of a part of that, things were a little bit of a blur. So we took care of my mom for about 5 years, a little over 5 years, with her dementia. And dementia is really, really hard. And we already have so many issues, and insulin resistance, type 3 diabetes, insulin resistance of the brain mixed with an STATIN, I think is just not a really great combination. And I don't know if that's really ever dawned on anybody or if that has been information that you've ever heard before. But I really, really want to just encourage people to do a couple of different things. Go out and research somebody like she just said. I followed Dr. Ken Berry and, basically, healed myself. I completely turned around how I was doing life. And this is how this is happening now. People are starting to wake up and realize that the information that we've been given is really super faulty. And I usually my wheelhouse is really more in insulin resistance. And so I talk about that all the time. I have a Facebook group called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And you can always go and find that on my, I don't know if it's everywhere, but I have a website, which is my first and last name, KirstenLiebelt.com. And you can go there. There's a Facebook blue button. You can jump in there. I do free challenges and stuff like that every month. But I do it because I can hear women on a regular basis tell me how frustrated they are that just like me, when I was in my 40s, I didn't know that insulin was a hormone, and I didn't know that it was a key to my weight loss. That if my sugars or my insulin was high, I couldn't lose weight. Like I didn't know any of this. And so what happens is we go off into, a clinic and we get information that's really only med related. And that can be very frustrating because we don't necessarily always love the side effects, right? Like, especially if it messes with a vitamin D level or something like that. That's very, very challenging. Like that's just a simple thing, but it's like, it can really like put us into a nosedive if it's messing with a hormone, right? And so sometimes I think as women, we just live with thinking we're crazy and feeling really unheard. Like if we go and we say, no, seriously, like I am paying attention to what I'm eating and I am, working out or whatever. And sometimes we feel kind of gaslit a little bit where it's like, no, you must just not be tracking your food right, or you must be whatever. And we're not being given such a simple answer. Like, oh, well, insulin is a hormone. And so when your insulin is really high because it's trying to get your blood sugars down, or, it's trying to get your sugar into your cell and it can't do it because your cell says no. So then you just keep on producing more insulin. Now you have all this inflammation, plus you can't lose weight. And nobody's explaining some basic things. And that's very, very frustrating. So what I have found is that when women are actually able to turn back around their insulin resistance, they're actually, because this is not a terminal diagnosis. Think about that for just a second. That's a different universe, right? If somebody has to have an oncologist, they have to have a whole team to help them with something that's extraordinarily serious, right? That's different. And there are, I mean, the pieces to that puzzle are potentially limitless, right? Many different, impetuses for that. Impetus, can you say impeti? I don't think that's right, but it's funny. But a lot of different beginnings for the reason of that. And many different kinds and many different variations and many different factors. Okay, so that's a big deal. But when you're talking about insulin resistance, this is really super simple. It's not rocket science. And that's what's so frustrating, is that why can't we just get basic information? Does anybody else feel like they're just really unheard when it comes to they're just gaining weight? You can't lose weight. Like nobody has told you maybe some of these basics, just like me. When I was gestational diabetic with my first baby, not one person, not one nurse, not one doctor, not one checkout, anything, nothing, or hypoglycemic with my second. Nobody told me nothing. Nobody said, by the way, honey, just to let you know, you are now 7 times more likely to become type 2. So you might want to pay attention to that. Now, I'm not blaming somebody, like that should have been my own responsibility, but I just find it to be really super fascinating. How in the world does that not become a part of your leaving the hospital education, when this is something that could not have, so many people could have avoided? I consider myself just extraordinarily blessed. Like I was so blessed that God gave me answers. I talk about supplements all the time. I talk about how if you give your body raw materials, then you can, you literally can function at a higher level from the inside out because you gave your body raw materials. You're just filling in deficiencies. Like, so this is a little different than that other world that is terminal and very hard maybe to navigate and manage. This doesn't have to be. The goal is to bring down your sugars, bring down your insulin, get your entire little system inside to function at a higher level, and then change the way you're eating so you can stop spiking your sugars every time you eat. Your default setting for your body is to burn glucose. You can get it to burn fat. And wouldn't that feel nice? My biggest concern with injections, is the muscle loss for women. I mean, men too, but for women, it's a very big concern, because I feel like that's not weight loss. That's not good weight loss. You want fat loss. You don't just want any weight. Water weighs something. Muscle weighs something. Do you really want just weight loss? You don't. You actually want fat loss. You want to burn the fat that showed up on your arms. Burn the fat that showed up on your back fat. Burn the fat that shows up on the inside of your knees. That's a much better conversation, right? So anyway, that's my wheelhouse more than even the STATINs for sure. But I had that conversation anyway today. And in the end, I was like, I'm totally going to talk about this. I'm just going to look up some stuff from Dr. Ken Berry, because I've looked him up so many times for this conversation. And I just want people to go do their own research. I want to encourage you. I want to empower you to go do your own research if you're on one, or if you're told that you should be on one. There is, because I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to cite somebody else. There is a holistic psychiatrist on TikTok. And she says immediately, that's the first thing she does, is she takes everybody off without any cold turkey. That's what she does. So that's a thought process that you can go research for yourself. How does that sound? I hope that encourages somebody to do something. That's right, Beth. We are born, Beth. Good to see you. Oh, thanks for the follow, you guys. I'm missing follows. Thank you, user. Thanks, you guys. We are born in ketosis, and this is very fascinating. So my daughter, she just had our 3rd grandbaby, and she's nursed all 3 of her babies, whatever. But yeah, babies live on ketones and they live with high fat cholesterol for their brain. And if you don't have the high fat for your brain, when I was in my mom's dementia, one of the places that she was in independent living for a long time. And we went to the independent living and became her assisted living. It's just how we did things because we wanted to keep an eye on her. And I remember taking classes on dementia at the beginning because I really was like, oh, MG, this world of dementia. Oh my gosh. And I stepped into a place that had, the different levels. And one of them was memory care. And I walked in the memory care and there were all these women and like one man. Now I know that that's not really necessarily a true picture, but this just was my story in the moment. And they were sitting in a circle to do some sort of an activity. And I just kind of like, it kind of just took me, whatever. And I said to the lady, I said, why all the women? And without skipping a beat, this is what she said. Now, whether or not this is true, whether or not, certainly there's no studies to what her words were, but without skipping a beat, she goes, oh, it was the low fat diet that they were put on. And I just found that to be super interesting. I just really want us to question things a little bit. Just be somebody who questions the system, question the matrix. There's a lot of profit in telling you to only add another med or increase a dose. There's a lot of profit in it. And God gave us so many answers. It's literally ridiculous how many answers he gave us. I was telling my friend today, my person that I was talking to, that I saw recently, and I think it was maybe a TikTok. I don't remember. Who knows where you see this stuff? There's a gorilla like in its own native, whatever, like indigenous, you know what I'm saying? Like in its own universe. And all by itself, it had an infection on its eye underneath and it got super raw. And it was for like the first time ever, they were able to film the fact that this gorilla found a plant, chewed it up and literally laid it on its raw open wound. And it was healed within days. And I'm like, yes, this is how we do things. I didn't know any of this. I stumbled on every answer I found. I mean, I like tripped over it, bam, on my face. That's how I found my answers because I was like, this was me prior to doing anything about my sugars with supplements and anything to do with my brain fog and hormones before supplements. This is me. What? That was me. I did not take supplements. I did not know how to eat well. I'm Italian. Like we mourn with food and celebrate with food. I didn't do any of this stuff, you guys. None of this. I wasn't a granola mom. I wasn't nothing. No, I raised my kids on everything white. But adaptogenic herbs changed my freaking life. I still talk about them today. I could tell you all about the purple packet, what that could do for you. I started with supplements for my sugars because I wasn't going to trade out my foods. But I'm telling you, God gave us answers. So I love that story so much about the gorilla because I already believe that because this has been my story now for a long time. I still take everything I started with 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And that's why I get to talk to other people about it. So anyway, all right. Well, I hope that encouraged you and empowered you to take another step. Friday night, happy Mother's Day to all the moms coming up this weekend. I'm going to go spend the day tomorrow with my Dolly. I'm so excited. Her and her new little baby, he's 7 weeks. I can't remember now. And so we're going to go shopping and spend a day together. And so I just so appreciate you guys. If you ever need anything, let me know. Like I said, on my website, my first last name.com, I do have a Facebook blue button. You can go and get into the Facebook group if you are a female and you would like to be encouraged. There's like 3,300 women in there now. And so I do a challenge every month, a 5-day challenge. We talk about food and supplements and a recipe. Today we made lemon cheesecake. It was amazing. Sugar-free, of course. But I teach grain-free, sugar-free food. If you need to know about the trio, which are the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity, on TikTok, you can text trio to the phone number that's on my profile. On Instagram, you would have to do the same thing. And on Facebook, you can put trio in the comments and I'll get that to you. But I hope you guys just feel empowered. Okay. So go find out some more information about that if that is a topic that you need to know about. Okay. And have a super blessed night. It's good to see you guys. See you later.